It is draft season, and today's show, draft expert Dane Brugler dropped his top 100 NFL draft prospects. We're not going to look at all of the names because that's a lot, but we're going to talk Browns draft targets. Who could Cleveland realistically be bringing to the land? So stay tuned for all of our favorites, and I've got an awesome deal for you guys before we get into the list. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. That means it's party time, folks. You know we like to party hard here on the show. So we had to go out and make some Cleveland football drinking team shirts here at Chat Sports. Go to chatsports.com/BrownsGreen. Nice and easy, simple link to remember if you want to get your drink on, rep the dog pound, and party this St. Patrick's Day. Fresh, cool-looking design. They are limited edition, and I bet you Browns fans are going to love to see you rocking one of these. You'll get some comments. People will be like, yo, where'd you get that shirt? You tell them, chatsports.com/BrownsGreen. It is limited edition, pretty sick, and it'll be in the comments section, so look out for it. Get yourself the t-shirt for only $29.99 right now. Let's go through some of Dane Brugler's top 100 prospects. So the number one player in the draft, according to Brugler, is actually Ohio State product Arvell Reese. Listen, be interesting, be tempting, but I don't think that he falls to Cleveland. Mendoza is the second best player in this draft. Look, people are listing Cleveland as a quarterback-needy team, but you're going to have to trade multiple firsts to get Mendoza. I would take him at 6, but not trade up for him. Next, Caleb Downs. Downs is an absolute beast, folks, the safety out of Ohio State. I think he'll be available at 6. He's the top 4 player in the draft. We might have to have the Caleb Downs conversation because now I'm hearing buzz. Now I'm hearing more buzz than I've ever thought. Obviously, we've always known he's a stud, but Albert Breer just said he feels comfortable saying Caleb Downs is the best football player in the draft class. It's not going to be the first pick because of, upside, positional value, all that. There's guys with more of all that stuff, but no one in the class is a better football player. And then Dane Brugler quote tweeted Breer and said, fun question I've been asking to scouts, Caleb Downs is the best safety prospect you scouted since, ... And a few of them said, ever. You're getting a generational talent. Perhaps. At worst, he's a solid starter. Like, in terms of just a safe draft pick that's going to hit, Caleb Downs is the best pure football player in the class, perhaps. And so safety is not a position of need for us. It's not a position of value necessarily either. But it would be a player that has been an absolute stud in his career in college, an Ohio State Buckeye. Look, I think it's reasonable to bring up Caleb Downs here at 6. Now, I don't think I would do it because of how much Cleveland desperately needs other positions, and Grant Delpit has emerged as a strong safety, as pretty much a stud. Downs, excellent tackling safety, physically gifted, everything you want. Don't sleep on his coverage abilities too. So you got to have this conversation about, do you take Downs at 6? Just get the best pure football player perhaps in the draft. If he falls to you, which he probably will, or do you go position of need? What say you, Browns fans? Draft Caleb Downs at number 6. Type D for draft, type P for pass. I need your opinions on this because I would go back and forth on it, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't do it. I think we need the lineman. I think we need the receiver. But you tell me, do you just go best available? If you're rebuilding, then you would. I still have some faith that Cleveland could be good. Next, let's talk about an offensive lineman. Spencer Fano comes in as the 8th best player in the draft, according to Dane Brugler, and the best offensive lineman in the class. So let's talk a little bit about Fano and what Brugler had to say about Spencer Fano and his abilities. Here's the quote. An impressive athlete for the position. Fano is quick out of his stance in pass protection, has the bend, balance, sudden hands to neutralize different types of rushers. When Utah needed a yard, it ran behind the efficient footwork and hips of number 55, especially on power play skip pulls on which Fano could fit up defenders and take them for a ride. Pause. He's a very versatile tackle. Analysts are split, though, on if he's the best one in the draft versus Mauigoa. Okay, these are the top 2. You can look at every power ranking, every list. It's these 2. These are going to be the first 2 offensive linemen off the board. offensive tackles, most likely, specifically. Maybe you play Mauigoa at guard. We'll talk about that later. But it's these two. Interchangeable. Fano, I would say, is probably the more versatile one. If you want to shoot your shot here and get someone that's more technical and could do it all, just like you saw in that Brugler quote. So consider him if he's available at 6, and the Cardinals don't take him. Wide receiver prospect, though. The best one according to Brugler. Carnell Tate, a top 10 player in the draft. Another Ohio State Buckeye. Look at that. We got 3 of them on your screen right there. Carnell Tate, listen, I love him. I love Ohio State. I think he is an absolute stud receiver prospect. Just very sound, great route running, good hands, reliable. Obviously, he wasn't the number 1 on his own team, though. Jeremiah Smith going to be an even better prospect next year. But Carnell Tate is an experienced college football receiver, had a pretty decent career coming off the season where he had 875 yards, his most. His average stands out to me as well, right? I mean, you want to talk about short, intermediate, deep plays. Carnell Tate is there, sound, and reliable. And like I said, loved Carnell Tate. I don't think he's worth pick number 6. I think maybe the Giants take him at 5, and this isn't even a conversation. I don't think that changes the game. I don't think that changes your franchise. Yes, I'm in on drafting one or two wide receivers because there's some studs in this class we're going to talk about. I don't know that Tate does it for me. If you don't have an offensive line, when there's no time for routes to develop, it's not going to matter if you have Carnell Tate. All right? I like having a burner like Bond who, honestly, just freaking streak down the field, man, full speed, Shador, chuck it up to you. That's how we had a lot of our deep shots this last season. Love Carnell Tate, love him as a prospect. I wouldn't take him with pick number 6. Just putting that out there. But again, put your opinions in the comments section. Next, maybe I would take with number 6, Francis Mauigoa, the 11th best player in the draft, according to Dane Brugler. I talked about Fano being, the versatile option. I think Mauigoa, kind of the way I talked about Caleb Downs, a safer option that's probably going to hit and be a starting lineman in the NFL. All right, here's what Brugler had to say about Mauigoa. Defensive line received most of the attention during Miami's run to the title game, but the offensive line was equally as impactful. Mauigoa was the group's most consistent blocker. He doesn't have elite length or foot quickness, but he plays with a relaxed feel in space to mirror and put rushers in a vice. Whether he plays tackle or guard, Mauigoa will start in the league for a long time. And that's kind of what I was saying, right? High floor, safe pick for our biggest need. It's our biggest need, and it's a guy that's probably going to start in the NFL for a little while, be decent, serviceable, can play guard or tackle. I might even put him at guard, to be honest with you guys, just because he's a big, true mauler, moves people. I like it a lot for the Brownies at 6, perhaps. Jordan Tyson, another wide receiver that Brugler says is the second best receiver in the class. Number 12th player in this power ranking of Brugler. I would love it if we get Tyson later in the draft. I don't think we're taking him at pick 6, but some mocks have him falling, and maybe Cleveland gets him. Speaking of guys that could potentially fall to that second first-round pick for the Brownies, we would love it if we got Vega Ioane, the guard out of Penn State, the first true guard in the class here, and is the best guard in the class. I'm seeing mock drafts where he does fall to the 20s. It would be a dream snag late in the first round for the Brownies if you don't have your wide receiver then, okay? So maybe if you do want us to take the receiver early like Carnell Tate, okay, you can sell me on it if we're getting this guy later. Like I said, best guard in the class. Strong, quick, does it all. Sign me up if we can get him. I almost want to trade back in the first round. Be able to have a couple picks here, try and get a couple of these guys because we need a lot. And there's some dogs. Speaking of dogs, how about Makai Lemon, another wide receiver prospect that people are getting really high on. Some are saying Lemon's better than Tyson. Some are saying he's better than Tate. Everybody is interchanging these top 3 wide receivers, but those are the top 3, no doubt about it. It would be a dream if he would fall to 24 as well. And then we're going to keep it offensive line themed because we got to talk about Monroe Freeling. Freeling is starting to get a decent amount of buzz here, the offensive tackle out of Georgia, who I expect to definitely be available late. You know, if Vega Ioane is already off the board, Freeling might be available late first, early second. Brugler said that Freeling, his youth is evident, but so too are his big man athleticism, upside, needed to be a long-term NFL starter. Again, possesses the traits of a guy that should be a starter in the National Football League right away. So don't forget about Freeling and how he could potentially be available for the Brownies going forward. But I want to hear your opinions before we continue the rest of this list. Do you like anyone? Anyone at all so far? Comment your number one draft target for the Browns. Let me know down below who you like. Joey, we got to get this guy, man. He's a beast. He would change the franchise. Your number one player that you want to make sure we get. Put a name in the comment section. I'll go through and see who the Brownies want to land. Let's talk about another wide receiver. Casey Concepcion. Excellent return game abilities, right? Fast, yards after catch. Consider Concepcion as a receiver that will be available at 24. Next, I'm putting Dylan Thieneman on this list because I'm telling you, Cleveland is going to draft defensive players. This is a defensive loaded draft. As much as we're going to focus on offense, you're going to get a couple. And Thieneman seems like he'll be available in the second round for the Brownies. He's just a stud safety option that I would honestly be in on taking. Next, Denzel Boston. So, Brugler has Boston at 25 and Concepcion ahead of Boston. I think I'd swap those. You guys know I'm in on Denzel Boston. I think he's super talented. And the more I read about him, the more I'm in on him. Not only is he just a tall receiver that can do it all, but here's what Brugler had to say about Denzel Boston. He's a good-sized athlete, plays big and balanced, has vacuum hands, only a 3.1% drop rate. Treats the catch point like a power forward in the paint. Boxes out, use his rangy frame, focus to secure the football. He doesn't have the juice to simply run by NFL man coverage, but he's a proven chain mover. Again, reliable target. You heard Brugler basically saying that he's frame mogging people. I love the pick at 24. If he's there, a lot of mocks have him going just before. A lot of mocks have him being available at 24. I love it. Mauigoa in Boston, dream draft. Dream draft. It's my opinion on the matter. Again, you could flip the way you go if you want wide receiver first and then offensive line second in the first round. Cool by me. I think that's the dream, though, to be able to get two guys like that. But I wouldn't be mad if Cleveland even gets their wide receiver early in the second round. Omar Cooper Jr., 27th best player in the draft, according to Dane Brugler. He had that clutch touchdown catch against Penn State this year. He's athletic, yards after catch ability, above average strength. He'll be available in the second round. I also wouldn't be mad if Cleveland just loaded up on offensive line twice in the first round. Caleb Lomu, another prospect here out of Utah, playing with Spencer Fano. He is quick and athletic for a tackle. That's why he has really high upside. Because what's been the issue with tackles lately? Too slow, getting beat by quick defenders. Lomu has the skill set and quickness to actually be able to hang with them. Good pass protector, but they say his strength and run blocking maybe needs a little bit of work. But if he could develop, upside is there for Lomu. So, wouldn't be mad at him late in the first, early second as well. Let's go through some more draft targets that potentially Cleveland could get to. If Emmanuel McNeil-Warren falls to the second round, well, then forget what I said about Thieneman. This guy's the real deal. The Toledo safety, I'd be shocked if someone doesn't get him late in the first. If he falls, he's best available. That's when you just go best available. It's when guys like that are still there. Blake Miller, Clemson tackle. They say he plays a little bit too upright, but he's very physical, has the makings of a guy that, again, could be a good prospect and develop as a good offensive line starter. Look out for Blake Miller out of Clemson. Brugler then had Malachi Fields at the 49th ranked spot of all the players in the draft. Dude's 6'4", Notre Dame wide receiver that impressed in the Senior Bowl, athletic, Michael Pittman type. Love if we would get Fields a little bit later in the draft. Another guy that I want Cleveland to target is another Ohio State Buckeye. Listen, we need another corner. We always do. How about Davison Ibigno's son? I would like him to come on over to the Brownies, keep it in Ohio. Another stud prospect on the list is Anthony Hill Jr. Like I said, this class is loaded with defensive talent too. So I know that the Browns are going to take one or two. Maybe now with Schwartz being gone, it makes it a little bit tougher. But Anthony Hill Jr., if he falls later than the second round, that's a snipe linebacker right there. Or you get a linebacker even later who's got insane instincts. Jacob Rodriguez. Have you heard the buzz about the 64th ranked player in the class? The linebacker out of Texas Tech. Very curious to see how he tests because his instincts are just insane. Almost like the way Carson Schlesinger's everywhere on the field. You kind of see that a little bit out of Jacob Rodriguez. So, yeah, I'm drafting him if he's available late in the third for Cleveland. If he gets there, third or fourth round pick, that's when you have me like, yeah, we'll take him. I think a wide receiver that people are starting to sleep on is Zachariah Branch. I've made videos on him before. You talk about good yards after the catch ability. That's him. He's a Zay Flowers type of wide receiver. Mel Kiper's very high on Zachariah Branch. Not a lot of other analysts are. PFF mock drafts, you're able to get him like day 3 in some drafts. That's when it's a steal, I would think. So I'm listing him as well. Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon, is massive. 320 pounds, just drives defenders, okay? A big fella you can get to bolster up the offensive line later in the draft. Brugler has him as the 79th best player. I'm going to put a quarterback on here. Again, Garrett Nussmeier. Brugler says he's a top 82 player in the class. Probably would have been a higher pick before his season unfolded. I don't love the idea of getting a quarterback like Nussmeier because he is a day 2 pick. But I do see a team reaching because of how bad the quarterback class is as a whole. Again, if you're going to take a quarterback, I think you take one that really is no cost to you. But we've got 2 rookie quarterbacks essentially on the roster. I don't think we need to bring another one into the mix here because clearly it's not like it's a first-round star quarterback. You're taking another swing here. We don't necessarily need that. What we do need is a center. And Jake Slaughter, people are saying, is the best center in the class. Takes us to the 83rd pick or 83rd player to get a center finally, a true center, and Slaughter is that. I love him late for the Cleveland Browns, who we might need a center with Posa coming off the injury and being a free agent. Few more for you guys because I was surprised that Jennings Dunker is later than some of these other offensive linemen. Brugler has him 84th out of the 100 players. The guard out of Iowa plays tackle too. Dude, I'm sold on Jennings Dunker. I think he's a baller. He's a beast. He'll be available late. Give me Jennings Dunker. He's an old school offensive lineman, just brute strength, run game mauler. And check out the mullet that the dude's rocking. I mean, look at this hairstyle, man. Dude's a baller. Should I grow this out, chat? Should I get this mullet? If Jennings Dunker becomes a Hall of Famer for the Browns, I'll get this mullet. Going to need some super chats for that too, but we'll get there. Next, Browns are going to have to draft a tight end probably as well, if not sign one in free agency. So a late one that Dane Brugler brings up here is Justin Joly. Comes in as the 87th best player on his top 100, the NC State tight end. I think there's also the Michigan one I really like, though, Marlon Klein. Perhaps Cleveland could be looking at. Go check out my tight ends video that I made to replace David Njoku if you haven't seen that already. Last guy I'm going to hit you with is Bryce Lance, another wide receiver option. Went to North Dakota State. He's actually the brother of Trey Lance, believe it or not, quarterback in the National Football League. Another big receiver who Cleveland could get very late in the draft, perhaps a late round steal. Those are the names I hit you guys with on the top 100. But prove to me that you know ball. Get in the comments section. Give me a sleeper that you want the Cleveland Browns to draft, okay? Give me a late round steal for the Brownies. You tell me down below. Give me some elite ball knowledge here. I know we got a lot of ball knowers that watch this show. I believe it. I interact with them. So give me a sleeper for the Brownies. That's going to do it for us on the Browns Report today. Hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out. We're going to have plenty of draft content, mock drafts coming for you. Who is Cleveland reportedly interested in targeting? Scouting, combine, everything's coming up. So hit that sub button. Appreciate you all being with me here today. We'll see you next time.